That's the first half, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, could be Wayne!
I think I got my swagger back. Oh!
I love it, baby!
Them orange britches. Something about them orange britches.
Tennessee wins! By Tennessee, Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch. Ball hit high in the air into right field. Going back to Sayre. And Tennessee can say hello, win column. A grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. You can't draw it up any better.
We just won a basketball game, and we're very happy right now. I made up my mind. I don't expect to ever look back. I'm going to stay at the University of Tennessee.
Reddit to do, and welcome into More Important Issues. It is Thursday, June 30th. It's almost July. I almost slipped up. I guess it technically is summer now. I think last weekend was the start of summer. It is hot as crap. But anyways, what's up, everybody? I'm Caleb. With me always, Landon, and we've got Joe in the booth tonight. We'll call it a booth. That sound cool.
The accent wall.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great one. I know it was so weird. So I'll probably watch. Did you watch any of the NHL final, the Stanley Cup?
No.
So I'll probably watch 3 periods, and now I'm mad that we have nothing. I guess I could watch baseball. But I don't care. But I went to turn something on tonight before the show, and so there's nothing on. This is truly the dog days of summer. I'm excited, though. We do get to talk football. We do have a guest coming on tonight. You guys know him, love him. Eric Kane. Is he the sports animal? We're going to call him that.
I mean, he does everything, so he pretty much is the sports animal.
100%.
So, yeah. Yeah, great guy.
Sorry, you hear the face. So someone tried to FaceTime me. It came up on my computer.
Oh,
so
no. It happens to me pretty often. You can't hear it. That's a good thing. No one else can hear it.
Perfect. I freezed out of there, but yeah, we're excited to get Eric Kane on, and we're gonna talk some Vol football, even some more Vol baseball as well. And it is, like I said, it's slow, but Tennessee baseball got some good news this week. I mean, well, one's good news, like actual good news, and one is it's probably gonna happen anyway. Like, we're good.
Oh yeah, yeah. Are we just getting right into it?
Yeah. Well, sorry. I was thinking baseball was first. So let's do baseball. We'll go to recruiting before we talk to Eric Kane. I'm sure we'll talk a lot of recruiting and fall football with him. So
yeah. So if y'all have any questions, drop those in the chat. I know we had one earlier today. So before we end up, switching over to football, make sure we get to that because it is about baseball. Yeah, Frank Anderson, turn them down. What's crazy is he has so much experience in the Big 12, and apparently he got offered a raise, which, I'm not sure exactly what he gets paid. I know it's over $200,000 as his base salary. So
the rumor floating was a lot of money from Texas. Like I said, rumor. No.
Yeah,
to it.
I saw somebody put $800K. I'm like, $800K. If I'm making $200, you offer me $800K to shovel shit. I'm shoveling shit.
I can't remember what it was. There was the absurd $800K, but there was it was 4 or 5. It was still a significant pay raise.
Right.
So it was, truly knowing what they had. Frank believes in what Tony Vitello is doing. It's that simple.
Yeah, absolutely. It's no secret that he's an older gentleman. Now he could coach for 100 years like Nick Saban, but it just seems like he wants to be here. He's got the train rolling. When he got here, there wasn't, not to diminish anybody in their career, but there wasn't a lot of talent on the mound for Tennessee. So, the overhaul there, having the talent just explode and, having probably the best pitching rotation in the country this season. And 2 of those guys are freshmen, 1 was a sophomore. You get all those guys back. Why would you leave, really?
Yeah.
Unless it is $800K.
Yeah, I'm probably going to that. No, it's like I mean, he has a lot going too, just in his own position. So that certainly helps too. But I got to think if you turn down, I mean, I guess both those numbers could be false. It could have been not much of a pay raise for all we know, I guess. But yeah, if you're turning down money, so let's pretend he is in our world right now, then you truly got to believe in what you're doing, because he can obviously, like Texas, you could go and recruit at, just like you would be able to build that up pretty quickly if you're as good as you seem. And it's obvious a lot of people believe in him. So yeah, I mean, I think it says a lot about this program and where it's at, and just the train is on the tracks for sure in that program. Everybody's going in one direction. Everything looks good right now. I know it ended not the way we wanted to, but I'm still believe it's on the right track.
Yeah, and a guy like Frank Anderson who has 40 years of experience coaching. I mean, for him to just kind of he's been a head coach, he's been a pitching coach, put multiple guys in the MLB, and it is a great recruiter, and relationship wise knows pretty much everybody in the business. For him to kind of, I don't- for him to trust a first time head coach like Tony Vitello and join Tennessee staff in the direction the program was in. I mean, he 100% believes Tony Vitello is a stud.
Yeah, and I'd be interested, and this is a little bit about Frank too, but at the coaching staff as a whole, you talked about how he has to have trust in Tony. I think it. I mean, we've talked to Ross Kivett, who used to coach under Vitello, and Richard Jackson, and Chad Zerker too, and a couple other people close to the program, and it truly looks like Tony has a ton of trust in the people around him too,
Yep.
which you don't find everywhere. I don't. I'm sure Tony makes the head decisions. I'm sure he makes them, but I'm sure he also gets a lot of input. We've talked about how he has, and he's talked about how he's leaned on Frank, because, like you said, he's a first time head coach, and he's kind of been around the business and done it all. So I mean, that's obviously a big crutch for him, and I don't know if crutch is the right word, but something to lean on and help him. But yeah, I think it's more than just trust in the guy. It's also the guy trusts you, and that keeps you around.
Yeah, and those two just seem to click.
They're scary, pretty similar.
Yes, but it's more like a father and son kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, they're going to have each other's backs, and again, I just keep going back to the fact that he kind of left the Big 12 and joined a staff that Tennessee was a terrible program. Let's be honest, and a first year head coach.
You're gonna get called a 1-year fan here soon, Landon. Keep it up.
I mean, I was there. I was at the games. I know how bad they were. I saw it firsthand. Yeah, for him to put all of his trust in Tony Vitello, just kind of Vitello's just off of vision. I mean, you have nothing really else to go off of besides you being an assistant coach at other places, but for him to kind of drop everything like that and join this league and join the staff, I think that kind of speaks not only to Frank for him to put his trust in Tony Vitello, but also Tony Vitello is a great salesman to sell that vision to a guy as tenured as Frank Anderson.
Yeah, let's hope he's more than a salesman. I trust in him. Let's hope he gets it done.
Yeah.
More good news 100%. Though in terms of coaching staff. Golly, Quentin. How do you say his last name?
Eberhardt.
Why did I almost call him? It wasn't Elander.
It's just Q.
It was close to Elander. Yeah, that's fair, but I figure we'll drop his whole name.
Yeah. Returning to Knoxville, he joined that staff in 2017 as well. So kind of one of the same, trusted that vision of Tony Vitello, and Q had been in the minor leagues a number of years. I forget exactly how many before he joined Tennessee, and then turned down a bunch of jobs while he was here. He was detriment to that program and in the success that it had. I mean, every time during a press conference you listen to Tony Vitello, he mentions Quentin Eberhardt and how great he's been, and how much he means to this program. So getting a guy like that, he took that job for the Cubs in January of this year, so right before the season, And I think a lot of this year was kind of just, hey, keep that train rolling.
Mm.
When Q was gone, um, the Cubs didn't have a good year. I don't know if that had anything to do with him coming back, but it is great to see a guy like that who had, um, put in so much work, and you see guys all over Tennessee's roster that have benefited from um, Q and his strength and conditioning program. A guy like Trey Lipscomb, um, Luke Lipsius. I mean, even look at Drew Gilbert and Jordan Beck from their freshman year to now. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
it's
a,
insane.
a lot of guys have turned into dudes.
Jared Dickey is probably in that same category.
Right, and I think I think you do got to give some credit to him still with this freshman class, just because, like you said, and obviously Richard Jackson, who kind of took over that role, and they didn't have a dedicated guy this year, and I think that's going to make a difference. And I mean, nothing against Richard Jackson at all. I mean, but that wasn't necessarily why you were there, so obviously it became a duty.
Yeah,
But
basically they kind of got a guy from like Anderson Training Center to kind of do the strength and conditioning. So it's kind of a fill-in, an interim, I guess.
right,
I'm not trying to throw shade at whoever that actually was. I don't even know the name of them. But the fact they get their head guy back, I think Q's official title is Director of Baseball Sports Performance. But yeah, I mean, he was a really good player. I think he played junior college in Norfolk State. I'm pretty sure, but was all conference, and so he knows what it takes to be a really good player, and obviously coached a lot of guys in the minors, so knows what it takes to get there, and it's kind of spilled over, and this roster is full of kind of his success a little bit.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm excited to see him back. I think great asset to the baseball program. So
Yep.
Good to get.
So are we just getting the band back together? When's Kiff coming back?
Third paid assistant. He'll give him a director role. That sounds like what you got to do to get guys paid. Give him a director role.
Yeah. Let's
not Chad's.
Yeah,
another director role.
let's cash in that raise that Frank was going to get. Let's give it to pay some of these assistants a little bit more.
Yeah, would love to see it. I am interested to see how especially if like a third paid assistant comes along, which Tennessee, they're dead. I mean, Danny White's obviously dedicated to the program. I think they're really trying to bring money in through baseball now. Another revenue source, but I mean, I'm interested to see what the numbers are in coaching salaries, especially if you get a third. If you did a third, it gets more interesting.
Yeah, we do have a question regarding baseball from Patrick Eady. Patrick, really appreciate you submitting this, and good to hear from you again. Been a minute. He asked, any transfer baseball players coming in or going out besides Maui Ahuna? I think transfer portal wise, Tennessee I think has one officially in.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's rumors or some other freshmen. Nobody big. I would be surprised if you see somebody like a starter or somebody who had a significant role enter the transfer portal. But Nathan Smith, a freshman catcher, is in the transfer portal. I've heard some rumors of some freshman pitchers as well. But until I see their name, I'm not going to sit here and say they're in it when I don't know. So, other than that, that's really good to see. You don't have a ton of names in there. That means everybody's kind of bought into this program, and maybe some of those freshmen. I don't know how you really expected to have much of an impact unless you're like Chase Burns or Drew Beam. I mean, the thing is, like, freshmen played, so it wasn't out of the realm of possibility. But coming off a trip to Omaha, I don't know really how you expect to have much of an impact as a freshman,
Yeah, sure.
unless you're a highly touted guy. But or maybe they just saw the writing on the wall. Hey, I'm probably never going to play here. So,
right.
Who knows? But as far as transfers coming in, there's been some names out there. Paul Skeens, Air Force utility player, is pitcher, catcher. That's somebody they've had on campus. other than that, I think Reggie Crawford, I think, from UConn, a pitcher. I think he had Tommy John last year, but was all conference performer the year before. We'll see how healthy he is. I mean, I've heard that name. I've also heard maybe a player from East Rival.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can
Research
kind
it.
of put two and two together. I mean, look who you're losing at third base, and
Okay.
if you look at where he's from and everything like that, it kind of makes sense.
All right. Interesting. Keep your eyes open.
Yeah. That's kind of all I got for baseball. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about it with Eric Kane here in a second, but let's switch over to football a little bit. So, we got some dates coming up for some recruits. At first, I want to ask you, what do you think the Stranger Thing video we just saw on the football account is? What do you think it
it
is?
was about Stranger Things, Landon.
Yeah, of course. God, if one more person tweets it's about Stranger Things on my tweet, I'm literally going to lose my mind.
I have no idea what it's about. That
Just a guess. Can I get a guess?
I don't know.
Dang it, Caleb.
I mean, do you have a good guess?
I was thinking maybe maybe Francis just dressed as a Demogorgon making his commitment video. I don't know. Is he a big Stranger Things fan? Could it be that? Could it
We're
be?
still a couple days out from the 4th, though, so
Well, it said it's getting a little strange. I mean,
that'd be a little too early for a. I don't know. That's risky there.
okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess the real guess is uniforms, right?
I guess. Yeah. I need to go watch it again. Was it all just black and white?
Yeah, is it black helmets? We get black helmets.
Maybe.
Get some chrome helmets.
Dude, I still don't buy that bullcrap about suppliers. I'm sorry. I don't buy that. Moving on. I won't be negative.
Negavol Caleb is logged on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I would like to see black helmets. That'd be cool.
No, I would love black. I would, especially the black uniform. I think they made the most of the white. I like the stripe. I thought it looked good, so I'm not mad about how it ended up. But the uniform would have looked infinitely better if we had.
Also, like, hot take a little bit, kind of like the orange jersey and black pants.
Yeah, you need black helmets if you're gonna do that. It
100%.
doesn't look good. It doesn't look good with the white.
Yeah, 100%.
Even with the black stripe, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I would have loved to see a white black. Well, first off, the black jersey needs an outline. It does not look good with just the orange.
Yeah. So let me get these. I'm sure Kane's about to get on here in a second. So recruiting wise, Francis Maligoa, I'm guessing that's right. 5-star offensive lineman will make his commitment on July 4th. 3-4-star, whatever, website you're looking at, athlete Christian Conyer will make his decision on July 3rd. 3-star defensive end Tari Weathersby will make his decision on July 1st, which is tomorrow. And then you got 5-star 2024 edge Jonathan Eccles will make his decision on the 4th as well. So 4 guys. I would think Tennessee has a good shot at all 4 of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, and it's good just to be in the mix with some of them. Obviously, with others, you'd really like to see a landing, just because, like we talked about with expectations. But for a few of the guys, it's just good right now to be in the mix. And maybe go win some games. It's just commitment. No one's signing NLI tomorrow or Monday.
Yeah, I would think the 2 that are kind of up for debate a little bit would be Francis and Christian Conyer. But again, I think they're the top 2 in that race. There definitely are for Christian Conyer. His is Tennessee and Kentucky. Francis, I would say probably Miami and Tennessee are probably up there Maybe throw in USC as well.
Let's see where the NIL money's at.
Yeah,
Miami and Tennessee.
and we got plenty of it. For 5 stars. We got plenty of it.
Yeah, what about that video of the Texas A&M guy?
Yeah, wow. Way to just throw it out there, bud.
I mean, whatever. Like, cool.
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, you make Jimbo look really dumb when you do something like that.
Yeah, and it wasn't. It wasn't. If he had been like, "Hey, look at that suite. They got $10,000 waiting on you," I think it would have been worse for Jimbo. I don't think it's that bad because everyone knows.
Right? They know. You just
Like everyone knows. Like everyone knows.
maybe it could have been a little bit longer before that video comes about.
Yeah. No. Whatever. I mean, hey, I don't think it was a glaring.
It wasn't egregious.
No, it wasn't outright offering someone money.
Right.
They had signed something that day, agreeing to go to A&M. But no, it was. Hey, you got to talk about something in summer.
Yeah.
Which I meant to tell you after Eric Kane gets on, and may I even ask him his thoughts. We need to talk about the ACC and maybe even Big Ten, which is what is the Big Ten doing?
Nothing. That's
adding UCLA and USC potentially, or was that a troll? I was like, who's that from?
Your guess is as good as mine.
So, because I didn't do any research on it, I just saw that one tweet, and then I saw a couple like tweets making fun of it. UCLA and USC to join Big Ten in 2004, demolishing Pac-12. That was from USA Today. What does that mean? Demolishing Pac-12.
I mean, I just think they want to get away from it, and I mean, the Pac-12 is just crap.
Yeah, but
But I don't get the Big Ten.
The Pac-12. Yeah, I don't get the move to the Big Ten. The Pac-12. I think it's not a great conference, but I also think it's tough to be great in that conference. You're never going to get as much TV exposure. It's impossible.
Yeah.
A 7:00 game, if you play at 7:00, which they shouldn't be playing, it seems like some of those games start later than like 8:00. But you're never going to start, I guess. Yeah, I mean, because you can't play noon games.
Yeah, they really going to come over here and play at 9 a.m.
Yeah, so
their time.
I think they get put in a tough position.
Yeah, I agree.
Because so the earliest you can kick off is 3 p.m. Eastern, which is where most, statistically speaking, the largest population of people in the country are. Mm-hmm. So you get put in a tough position, I think, right from the get-go, in terms of exposure. But yeah, I mean, I don't think the Pac-12 helps themselves either.
Yeah, they're also the most laughable conference anyway. So, losing USC and UCLA, I just think, I mean, that makes them even worse. Those are probably 2 of the 3 best teams in that conference.
Certainly in the last 10 years, yeah, which isn't good because they haven't been good. Well,
right. Yeah, Washington, Oregon, maybe 4.
Who'd you have in your 3? I had Oregon, UCLA, USC.
Yeah, I did too. But you could probably put Washington up there as well.
You could probably put Washington above UCLA. And then you also got, in the last couple years in major sports, Arizona.
Yeah, definitely not in football. Stanford maybe some.
Yeah,
not since McCaffrey left, but
really since yeah, you definitely fair. Stanford had a couple years, but it's been a while since they were good in just football. They've never been great in women's basketball.
Yeah.
But Arizona had like 2 years they were okay. They competed in the Pac-12, which isn't, again, not good for the Pac-12 because they weren't good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you do. I would like it to be an option where SEC teams could play in the Rose Bowl. I think that'd be really cool. So if that makes that happen, hey, cool with it.
For sure. We may come back to this. We may even have that drop a question in for Eric Kane, but we're gonna get Eric Kane in here. We're excited to have him on. Let's see here. Here we go. Oh, sorry. I don't know if. Let's try this one more time. Eric Kane, maybe? Yeah,
there he is.
Sorry,
my man.
I messed that up. How are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing well, guys. How y'all doing?
Good.
Making it
really
through summer.
Did you bring your helmet?
No, my helmet is at my childhood home right now, so I couldn't
Ah,
quite go get that one, but I did
gotcha.
get your tweet.
Couldn't make your way up to 11E. Get that real quick.
I didn't have 35 minutes to spare today.
So Kane, been up to a lot always. VolQuest, Locked On Vols. I saw where you got to interview Tennessee's coordinators, Alex Golish and Tim Banks. What kind of impressed you about those two guys?
Yeah, it's great to talk to those guys, and you see those guys obviously in media settings, and then when we've been over there, covering these prospect camps this summer, you get to kind of talk with them off the record a little bit. So that's been really really cool, and couple of weeks in the making, trying to get those guys on the show because it's wild. I mean, you guys know this, but they are so busy all the time. By the way, anybody who wants to coach in college, you're crazy. I mean, you just like you have no life. But able to get those two guys kind of at the end of their summer term before the coaches are off for a couple of weeks going on vacation. So it was really good to talk to them. Alex Golish, he'll talk a lot of good things, and he had a lot of good things to say about Hendon Hooker and how he's stepping up to become a leader on this team, and how it's different this year because it's his team, and that was not the case coming into last year, right? And it eventually became his team, and so that was good to hear, and good to hear about some running backs that are stepping up and getting better in this offseason in the offensive line. And then talking with Tim Banks yesterday and ask him about kind of going level by level of the defense and the secondary, how there's so many different question marks, but how he feels confident in the group of guys that he has back there, that they've got numbers. They just got to find 4 or 5 to get in there and stick. And his confidence level in that group and in the defensive fronts, and how it's going to be a strength by numbers instead of just having a couple of guys like last year. So it was great talking about those guys, and I really appreciate their time.
Yeah, and very I'm very interested to see this next step that the staff makes. But I don't like Landon asking you these professional questions, trying to lead you in to the one we're going to ask. What's Tennessee's record this year? That's the bottom line. What's Tennessee's record? We're asking right off the bat.
All right. So I've been pretty consistent in saying that I believe Tennessee will be 8-4. Because I mean, I know, we've watched football, we know football, we've seen it long enough to where, Tennessee's going to, stumble somewhere where it shouldn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it can absolutely beat Florida. In fact, I'm picking Tennessee to beat Florida, and we're all crazy because I'm sure you guys are as well. But you look at these two teams, and there's no excuse for Tennessee not to beat Florida this year. But Tennessee very well could lose that game. Tennessee could lose at LSU. Tennessee could. People aren't going to like saying this or be saying this, but Kentucky's a good ball club. They are a good ball club. I mean, that's going to be a challenge. And so I'm already kind of penciling in losses, writing it with a pen for Alabama for sure, and Georgia. Those are 2 losses. And then, Tennessee, I kind of have at LSU a loss right now. And then I feel like Tennessee probably will just stumble somewhere else along the way. But, I mean, this team has the potential, in my opinion, to be 9-3. I mean, you go out there, you should win at Pitt. Again, you should beat Florida. You're better than Kentucky. You beat this Kentucky team that, lost a little bit from last year, but returns a lot of the same power. You already beat this team on the road last year, and you played just horrible defense that game. So 8-4, 9-3 will not shock me, but I'm going to say 8-4 to be safe because I still am concerned about the depth in certain position groups. But I think it's going to be a lot of the same, a lot of good offense, defense coming around and getting better, another win in the column, and we'll kind of see how big of a step this year is.
So, how long is it going to take you to convince Brent Hubbs that Tennessee's beating Florida?
he will not change his stance on that until, and to his credit, I mean, he's been in all those games, right?
Yeah. Right.
Until Tennessee beats Florida, he will not change, and I respect that. But gosh, I mean, again, Anthony Richardson's going to be a headache. He's going to be a good quarterback. Obviously, there's talent there, and I think Billy Napier's a good coach. But, I mean, if it's not right now, then, when is it, right? Tennessee should beat Florida this year. Man, I'm just beating that drum here today. I didn't mean to come on here and do this.
We love it. We love it.
I think this season could be a weird one. I think Tennessee does take a step in the right direction, but I think Florida could be a slip up, and then something like an LSU could be a win because I think this team is going to be good. But I think, like you said, there's going to be times they stumble and they shouldn't. And I think Florida, just because of the history, probably is that game, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, we got questions, right? I mean, Tennessee's losing Velus Jones, who was incredible. Tennessee's losing Javonte Payton, who had 18 receptions last year, 6 of which were touchdowns. I mean, that's a lot of production in a short amount of volume, right? You're losing those two guys. You've got to replace them. Jalen Hyatt had a great spring, and everybody's talking great about Jalen Hyatt, and you expect him to step up in that slot, but you got to see it. Brew McCoy, a lot of question marks surrounding him just in terms of he hasn't played an awful lot. The potential's always been there, but can he be that guy to step up? And if not him, who else in the cupboard? Could it be Ramel Keaton? Could it be Jimmy Holiday? Could it be maybe a Caleb Webb? Got a lot of questions at receiver. Running back, I feel a little bit better about. I think it's going to be strength in numbers there, but then you got that secondary, man. I mean, I don't know who plays where. That's the biggest question mark. Really, I'm a betting man, so I would say the same two safeties are out there game one, and I bet you Warren Burrell's out there game one. Outside of that, I'm not sure. And then in game two, I'm not sure. I mean, you've got guys like Christian Charles that's going to play somewhere. Kamal Haddon's going to play, in my opinion. What about these newcomers and Wesley Walker and Andre Turrentine? A lot of questions with this team. So, we'll just have to see exactly how the season plays out. But you're right. I mean, at LSU is going to be tough. Florida will be tough. Kentucky's a good ball team. How big of a step can you take from last year to this year?
Yeah, we're actually going to LSU. So if that, sways your position on that game.
That will be a fun game. It's probably going to be an afternoon game. I don't think they've made that official yet, to my knowledge, but that's the same night, Alabama and Texas A&M. So that's probably going to get the night game. Yeah. But if you can avoid LSU on the road at night, you're probably in good shape. But I mean, that's a talented team too. They can rush the passer. I think Jaden Daniels is a good quarterback. They've got a great wide receiver. And they have a really good coach. He's a horrible human being, but they have a really good coach.
Stay away from recruits, Brian Kelly. Good Lord.
Weird.
So, I mean, kind of, going back to that, like interacting with recruits, what has kind of impressed you with this staff in terms of recruiting? Because, when they got hired, I mean, that was the huge question. Is like, can this group recruit? And, I mean, it looks like on paper they've done a pretty good job.
Yeah, there was some outrage. I guess it was when Carnell Tate elected to go to Ohio State. I mean, it was the sky is falling mentality. And I'm kind of sitting there and I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, you're not going to get every player. And I know it hurts because Carnell Tate Tennessee was right there. And Tennessee was, quite frankly, was the leader for a long time in that one and, a tremendous talent. But, for that one case in particular, I know you're asking, overall, but I mean, why wouldn't you want to go play for Brian Hartline right now, seeing what he's done, putting guys in the league? 100%. So, I mean, you get it, right? But I think the staff's doing a really nice job. You got work to do. You got to close. But, being in and Nico had something to do with it as well. But, being this far into it with Francis, Mowing Owa, coming in super late, mind you, and being one of the top, two schools when he makes his decision here in a couple of days, being in it with, some of these other guys that, you might not have been in that conversation for last year, certainly. And of course you were with Pruitt, but then again, you had to hit the reset button. So I think the relationships and kind of how they evaluate, they sit down, they watch film with these guys, they recruit their families. And, that's not reinventing the wheel here. But when I talk to these kids, they say like, hey, they call and they talk to my parents. And that means a lot to me. And so they're just kind of doing some different things. And I think the relationship part of it's obviously huge. And, kind of how they talk to them, getting them on campus and, starting early with these prospect camps, getting them back on for a couple of games in the fall. I mean, Jeremiah Thielander, he was on campus probably 7 times before he committed to Tennessee, last week. So I think they're doing a good job. They got work to do. They got to close. But, I mean, this class is going to be a pretty decent one, in my opinion. We'll see if they can sneak back there in the top 10. But you land a guy like Nico, you're not going to have a bad class.
100%.
Right. And how much of the recruiting is still you're just selling kind of a vision? Because you're still technically in year one. Year two hadn't started yet. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of last year when the staff started recruiting, it's a lot of go win games and prove what you're doing. Mm-hmm. How much of that is still relying on this year? Because I mean, I think there's a lot of guys that you could lose if you don't win, and probably a few guys that maybe you get back in it late if you do win ball games.
Yeah, nothing helps more than winning games. Absolutely. And you saw that last year, I felt like, with Justin Williams-Thomas, with Tyree West, with James Pierce. You keep in mind, those are 3 guys, and I've been saying this the last couple of weeks, those are 3 guys that this time last year, we didn't know who they were, right? I mean, we really didn't. And they jumped into the boat, and those were 3 huge signing day gets for Heupel and this staff and, propelled them inside the top 10. And so I thought that was just incredible. Basically getting your start in February, being behind the 8 ball, a lot of these in-state kids. I mean, there was only 1 guy that came in state last year, if I'm remembering correctly, and that was Elijah Herring, or 2 with Cam Miller. And getting behind so late and finishing where you were, I thought that was huge. But a lot of the prospects I talk to now, they say, hey, it went from they're telling us their vision, they're telling us what they did at UCF, they're telling us what's going to happen, they're telling us to go watch film of this guy. Then we saw it last year. We saw Hendon Hooker go out there. We saw the development in Cedric Tillman. We saw the defense, though it had its struggles. We saw it set a program record for 103 tackles for loss or whatever. So a lot of it now is they're saying, they were telling us about it. We saw it happen last year, and now we're kind of, fully engaged. So I do think that does make a difference. But you're exactly right. Winning cures all. If Tennessee goes out there and wins some games this year, they're going to hold on to a lot. They're going to attract some more. If you lose some, unfortunately, you're going to lose some. But hey, that's recruiting as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking at this class a little bit more. What, in your opinion, is probably the biggest position of need?
Well, right now it's got to be cornerback, right? And then, a huge commitment announcement coming up is at I think it's the 3rd with Christian Conyer, right? And that's Tennessee, Kentucky, man, and that's another one like Carnell say. Tennessee has been in the driver's seat for so long, and if that one goes south, well, technically, if that one goes north, that will not be good for Tennessee in the public perception for sure. But I like where Tennessee's at in that one. I truly do. But cornerback's a big one. So you got Christian Conyer, say he commits to Tennessee, that'd be a huge get. Say if he doesn't, or even if he does, you got guys like Jakeem Jackson and Jordan Matthews who are on campus for official visits this past weekend. Those two guys are going to be critical, staying involved with those two guys. Running backs, it's kind of puzzling, right? So, I mean, there were some good guys in this class, but they're kind of all gone. There was a couple of them. It's a little top heavy. I'm not big on this running back class. Tennessee has one running back commit in Will Stallings, which he's built like a guy that can run in the SEC. He'll be a developmental player. But I think if Tennessee's able to land a guy like Cam Seldon, who will play some receiver, who will play some running back, that will go a long way. So you got to get offensive tackles, and Francis is going to make his commitment to either Tennessee, Miami, or USC in the coming days, and that would be huge. But guys like Lucas Simmons and Stanton Rammel and the German guy, I can't pronounce his name, Shumarad or whatever his name is, offensive tackle, quarterback, and running back. Those are some positions to where I'm like, all right, Tennessee's got to start making some moves here before it's getting too late to where you're going to miss out on some guys.
So Cam Seldon, if he ends up going to, I guess it's between us and Penn State, I would assume. Mm-hmm. What does Tennessee do from there? Is Deshaun like what is the deal with the Deshaun Bishop thing?
Yeah, it's interesting, man. For a long time, it was kind of wait and see. Deshaun didn't look to be in too big of a rush there. At one point or another, Tennessee was kind of slow playing it a little bit. I think that process will continue on. Somebody asked me the other day if they believe that he was a take at Tennessee right now, and I'm not too sure. I don't know to answer that question. But as long as he's not committed and Tennessee continues to go on throughout this recruiting class, we'll see. If he has a big old senior year, maybe they start recruiting him a little bit more in the fall, and that wouldn't be out of the ordinary. He's a Knoxville guy. I'm sure his family would love him to stay right here in Knoxville. We'll see on that one. That one's been kind of a little weird, but to your point, I mean, again, you got one running back, which is big. If you land Cam Seldon, that alleviates some of the pressure to go and find a running back right now. But I still just overall think that, it's on Deshaun and to see what his senior season's like. He's a really, really good talent. I mean, we know this. We watch him here locally. We put his games on TV. He is very talented. So, we'll see.
He doesn't have a big senior year, right? I mean, the dude's a freak.
Yeah, and I mean, he's going to get the ball 45 times a game, so he's going to find the end zone a couple of times. So
is that not so refreshing at the high school? You watch a lot of high school games, and I'm sure you watch coaches out-coach themselves more often than not. Finally, a team that's like, we're just going to give it to the guy that can win us ball games. We're here to win.
Yeah, I mean, put him out there at quarterback, let him run, wildcat, running back, throwing the football. I mean, that's what Carnes does with him, and you're exactly right. It's so refreshing. Find the Division I player on the field and give him the football, especially here at East Tennessee, and that's what Carnes does with Deshaun Bishop.
It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
So besides Gardner, what other kind of Tennessee staff members have you been impressed with? Not just on recruiting trail, but maybe, maybe in media settings or whatever. Just kind of your interaction with them. Who's kind of really impressed you?
Brian Jean-Marie, I feel like deserves. I mean, I don't know what he's making. I'm sure we can look it up, but he deserves to get a big old raise after last year. Like, was the linebacker group good last year? No, it wasn't. I mean, you had one good guy who, by the way, developed into a nice player, Jeremy Banks. But you had two guys that, to put it bluntly, shouldn't be playing at this level consistently, right? Should be backup level players, and Tennessee was able to hang on with those three guys all year long. So from a coaching perspective, I've been really impressed with Brian Jean-Marie. Just being around, interacting with some of these coaches, it's limited. I'm not acting like I'm best friends with these guys, but Jerry Mack is a really down to earth guy. Talking with him, Alex Golish again is a really cool guy to talk to. I mean, even Josh Heupel, like I kid you not, like we were over there for a prospect camp. It was the day Tennessee lost to Notre Dame and the season, baseball, and the season was over. And I was actually at the camp. I went over to the stadium to do a stand-up with Ben on the field, and I came back, and Heupel and Tim Banks, and they all came over and said, "Hey, what's going on over there? What happened?" And we just sat there and talked Tennessee baseball for 20 minutes. I mean, they're just down-to-earth guys. They're really, really cool guys. They have a lot going on, of course, but I've been impressed with all those guys. Heupel, Tim Banks, Mike Eckler will talk to anybody. He's really cool. And then, Brian Jean-Marie, in terms of coaching, what he did with that unit last year was really, really impressive. And I'm intrigued to see what that group, the linebackers, can turn into this year with some more guys to kind of help out with that.
We going to see Jeremy Banks in any media settings?
No. I've requested it a few times, but no,
don't give up. Don't ever give up.
I mean, I wonder if the first time we talk to Jeremy Banks, literally, is it going to be before the NFL Combine or before the Pro Day next year? Seriously, that might be the only time we talk to Jeremy Banks ever.
Dang,
that's pretty impressive, honestly.
Yeah,
to go that long.
He and Byron Young, Tyler Barron, those are the three pillars kind of in the front seven. Jeremy Banks, he is still very much a bull in a china shop. Obviously, got a couple of dumb penalties last year, but he has turned into a really nice player. And the thing about it is too, like, he can get so much better. Like, I don't pretend to know everything about football, but I just see some things. I'm like, man, just stop doing that. That's a little mistake or a little habit. You correct that. You can, shave off, 0.5 of a second around the edge to go get the guy. And I think he's going to be good this year. I've been impressed with Jeremy Banks.
I'm excited for him. I just, like you said, he got a couple dumb penalties. He earned a dumb penalty probably after 90% of our plays. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he can't hear the whistle. Let's put that out there. But
it's bad too, because like leading up to every penalty, like we'll be sitting in the press box or whatever, and you'll just be like, all right, Banks is about to get it. You can just
feel like I can see his eyes.
Yeah,
like I can't, but I feel like I can see it in his eyes.
And if we can see it, the officials are like, yo, 33, chill out.
That's one maybe he could use a playoff.
Yeah. But again, like last year you couldn't, right? And so hopefully this year you can.
Get Jeremy Banks a backup coach, a guy that just designed to watch him.
Yeah, for real.
So who's beside Jeremy Banks? I think that's a big question mark for me.
Yeah. What can you get from Juwan Mitchell? I touted him as, this is the time when Juwan Mitchell was coming in and Joe Milton was coming in, and Joe Milton was coming in to be the starting quarterback, which he was. Juwan Milton, I said, was the biggest addition to this team because Tennessee just had nobody. No, and this is before Jeremy Banks. We knew that he could play linebacker, to be honest. Tennessee had no linebackers, and so I was like, Juwan Mitchell, a guy that led Texas, in tackles the year before. I was like, man, what a big addition, and he was nowhere to be found. I actually had somebody call on the radio station the morning after Bowling Green, and they said, hey, did Juwan Mitchell play last night? I'm like, about 70 snaps. Yeah, he didn't record a tackle. And then I thought he had a good game against Pitt. I really did. And then, of course, he got hurt. And I'm not sure about his mindset there in the fall after he got hurt. That's a difficult time when you're hurt. You're kind of away from the team. You're not playing. I'm not sure how bought in he was, but he came back this spring. He didn't have contact, but he was at every practice in full pads. I've heard a lot of things about how he's buying back into the program. So that's a big question mark for me. What can you get from Juwan Mitchell? So we'll look at him. I mean, Aaron Beasley's going to play. You got to believe that Elijah Herring can give you some snaps this year. He's come in and he has put on probably 20 pounds already. And he looked good in spring. I got to be honest with you. He's got a lot to learn. The game's got to slow down for him, but I'm looking at Jeremy Banks, Aaron Beasley, Juwan Mitchell, Solon Page. Can Elijah Herring help you out at all there? And then, every time we talk to coaches, and I know a lot of this is coach speak, I get it, but they keep bringing up Quasi Garland, saying that he's so close to being ready to help them. If he can spell him for just a couple snaps, that's just another guy. But that's the importance of recruiting that position. And I think a guy like Jeremiah T-Lander, Jalen Smith's a guy that is heavily considering Tennessee. He'll announce here in a couple of weeks, and we'll see if Tennessee can get him. And just recruiting that position, because you need more bodies there for sure.
Well, I'm glad you listed off some bodies because, during last spring, there was, I think you practiced a time or two just to have
me and the long snapper. I mean, it was brutal, man.
What a shot at special teams right there.
Hey, Landon, I love me some special teams. That was my steal on the bus at Carson Newman one year. Running down there like a maniac on kickoff. So yeah,
wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the biggest step for Tennessee this year? I think there's a couple positions that could take huge steps, and I think there's also a few that if they just play like they did last year and get some help around them, I think they'll formula for a good team. So who's the position though that you think does take the next one?
Man, I think it's tight ends. I really do, and a lot of that is speaking with Alex Golish, who is the offensive coordinator, also the tight ends coach. So he made a point to talk about the tight ends a lot. I feel like, and this is what Golish told me in the interview that you can check out. He just said, "Hey, we had two guys last year, and we couldn't play them at the same time because we didn't have anybody else, and we didn't want to take the chance of running 12 personnel and getting one of those guys hurt because we didn't have anybody else that we felt confident." And Hunter Salmon came on a little bit and spelled him there towards the mid to late year, but they think that they have some guys in Miles Campbell and Hunter Salmon again that can come in. They got a couple of walk-ons too, one at ETSU, one from UCF that they feel good about, to where I think you'll see both those guys play at the same time and be more of a pass catcher role. Like I think Princeton Fant's going to be a guy that can catch some passes this year. Mm-hmm. I think that's where they want to kind of use him more to help replace some of that production left off from Bayless Jones. So I would say tight end would be number one for me.
Okay.
I think the offensive line can be better. I mean, Tennessee ran for over 200 yards a game last year. We often forget that. They need to protect Hendon better, especially the tackle position. But I think the offensive line will be, about the same, if not a little bit better. I look at tight end and then linebacker again. I just think simply because you have more guys you can rely on, I think that position will get better. And I'm intrigued to see about the secondary. I like Kamal Haddon, I think, is a ball player. Can he stay healthy? Warren Burrell, it was bad there towards the end of the season. I honestly believe he's got the yips right now. I truly do, because he's played a lot of football for Tennessee and he has never looked like that. So how does he respond? Those are a couple of the positions that I'm intrigued to check out.
Yeah, and the tight end one is interesting just because I think it's on a lot. I think in terms of pass game, it's on Hendon. I think there were a couple of times that they provided an outlet and he didn't execute, and so I think he's got to find those guys too. And so I'm interested to see. I think they could have obviously played better at times, and I think they got more physical towards the end of the year. It seemed like early in the year they didn't do a lot for you in the run game, but seemed to improve. So I'm interested to see one just because hopefully Hendon's a better quarterback. Obviously, he had a great year, and I mean, he wasn't the starter. He earned the job after a guy got injured and had a great year. But yeah, I'm curious to see, because he does obviously lose. You mentioned Bayless, a lot of production there. Now an outlet guy.
Mm-hmm. What is this tight end position? I had no clue what this was when Jeremy Pruitt was a coach at Tennessee.
Oh, they were there. They had handed there the entire time. And another reason, and Pruitt did this to an extent. He would use his tight ends as H-backs and fullbacks and stuff. And Heupel wants to get there. If you noticed, last year, it might have been a touchdown. I think it was a touchdown. He had, against Pittsburgh, he had Jacob Warren in the backfield just run a simple little banana route. They threw it to him over the middle linebacker's head and kind of lining him up there, lining him up at H-back. Princeton Fant was out wide a lot. And I'll give him credit for this, man. You guys remember that 72-yard touchdown? I think it was Javonte Payton last year at Kentucky. It was a screen pass, right? And Princeton Fant gets out there and just bulldozes the quarterback. He is a great perimeter blocker. So not just throwing them the football, but lining them up in different areas, impacting the game. I watched a lot of UCF film before Heupel got here, and that's something that I noticed. Like, they love to move the tight end around. So we'll see. I mean, again, that is the position to where, they might not be huge stat-wise, but I'm intrigued to see how they utilize that tight end position this year.
So, going back to recruiting a little bit, you get Nico. Who's another? He's big in peer recruiting, and that's always good to see when you got a 5-star quarterback doing that. But who's another guy maybe in this class that is kind of doing the same thing, kind of behind the scenes?
Glad you asked that, man. It is Ethan Davis, and
Interesting.
he is a guy that we had to check on a couple of times throughout this process. At least I called him a couple of times. They're like, "Hey, man, Ole Miss is coming for you." He was like, "No, I'm Tennessee the entire time." And every time I saw him at the Memorial Day Rocky Topapalooza thing, saw him after his official visit the other day, and just saying, Nico's Nico. He's the biggest recruit in the class, but he's like, I'm bringing my own weight too. I'm talking to these guys all the time and saying we're going to shock the world. We're going to have a ton of guys join the class, and I think Ethan Davis is doing a really, really nice job of helping Nico and helping, not Elijah, Caleb Herring on the defensive side of the football as well. I think Caleb Herring stepping up and becoming more vocal and trying to recruit guys for his side of the football as well. But that's something I was thinking about the last couple of weeks. Is like, man, Ethan Davis is starting to like really be a spokesman for this class. And so it's interesting that you kind of mentioned that. And dude, he's gonna be good. Have you guys seen some of that video from the overtime 7-on-7 last week?
I didn't see that, but I've seen him play at Collins Hill a couple times. I mean, he has a really good quarterback throwing to him and Sam Horn, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he looks super athletic, and no offense to anybody on Tennessee's roster, but he already looks like the part at tight end.
Yeah, I mean, just talk about a weapon. You can put him out wide, put him on the line. He doesn't line up on the line an awful lot. He doesn't block an awful lot, but you'll have to teach that. But uh,
Probably doesn't have to in high school.
exactly. Like, I think, honestly, let's see, depending on which outlet you look at, like, I think Ethan Davis might be, one of the best tight ends, if not the best. He's rated 7th at his position per Rivals. It'd be hard pressed to find, many tight ends better than him in this class. I think he's going to be really good.
Interesting. So, Francis, you want to give us a little prediction there?
Dude, I don't know, man. I have no clue. I feel better about Christian Conyer than I do Francis. I'll say that I feel better about Christian Conyer than I do Francis. That does not mean that Francis won't come to Tennessee. It does not mean Tennessee won't get him. I think that he went through 3 weeks in July where he took 5 official visits, and his family was with him on every step of the way. And they are back. They are at home in Hawaii, and they're talking about everything. They're rehashing everything. I mean, it's going to come down, in my opinion, Tennessee, Miami, and Southern Cal. And I think Southern Cal is the backseat now to Miami. Miami's been doing some things here in recruiting. I don't know if you guys have noticed that here lately.
A little bit of money, huh?
Yeah, for real. But I don't know, man. That truly is, in my opinion, right now, like, just it's kind of spitballing. I mean, I think it might be a 50-50, maybe a 55-45 type deal. I mean, Tennessee was in a good spot for a long time, but I don't think there was ever a clear-cut leader in that one the entire time, right? I mean, it was easy to point to Tennessee because he came up here unofficially. It's easy to point to Tennessee because of his relationship with Nico. But we'll see. It's potentially, I think it could potentially be a very active weekend for the University of Tennessee. And if you have Francis to cap it off there, that is quite a haul for sure.
Yeah, somebody mentioned this to me at work, and it was like he's going to go to USC because it's closer to his family. And I'm like, I mean, he goes to IMG. Like you don't send your kid to IMG and think proximity to home is the end all be all.
Yeah, I truly don't believe location is going to be an issue whatsoever. I mean, be on the West Coast. He's in IMG right now. Tennessee is still in the eastern part of the country, but I don't think location is going to be it. I just think there's relationships. I think he's comfortable here at Tennessee. I think he likes and has developed relationships with the guys in the class and some of the top targets who were here last weekend. I think he likes Glenn Ellerby. I think he likes Josh Heupel. Just a matter of talking it over with the family and kind of seeing what's the best place. Because, I mean, he's doing the same thing at Miami and at Southern Cal and everything, and they're all pitching him everything too. So we'll see. Arch Manning, I think it's 9 commits that Texas has gotten since Arch is committed, which is incredible. And somebody asked me, like, would you compare that to Nico right now? And I'm like, well, yeah, when you compare it like that, I mean, Nico, the Tennessee certainly not stacked him up like that in terms of what Arch has done with Texas. But I mean, you bring in a guy of the caliber of a Francis. I mean, that's the type of guys that you're hoping that Nico can, have a lot of sway with. So it'll be interesting come Tuesday, I guess, or Monday. I get my day. Like the 4th is Monday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to announce on Monday. So it'll be interesting.
Would Tennessee be in that one if it wasn't for Nico?
Honestly, I don't think so, to be completely honest with you.
They seem close. That's why I ask.
Yeah, they are. They are very close. And I think Nico was instrumental in getting him up here at the end of May, unofficially, just to say, hey, here's Knoxville, here's Tennessee. What do you think? You want to come back here on an official visit, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I'll come back here. And so that time between May and the end of June, Tennessee still, was recruiting him very, very hard. And we're very much in it by the time he got back up here for his official. But I think if it wasn't for Nico, he might not have even made it up here to begin with to give Tennessee truly a chance. And so, absolutely, I think Nico's been instrumental in that. And then the same with Carnell Tate. And so, I don't know how much of a player Tennessee was with Carnell Tate before Nico truly got involved. And the fact that you're in these races is big. But I understand you want to win them. Runner up is not fun, so you want to win some, and that's why I get the whole frustration for the Carnell Tate thing, because Tennessee was right there. But I do think these are kind of different. Like Tennessee was in the leader, the front seat for Carnell Tate for a long time. That has not always been the case for Francis, though they've been in a good spot. I wouldn't call them the quote unquote leader, the entire time. So it'll be interesting. But Nico's has been huge with both of those guys.
That makes me really got to go win. Got to go win ball games and be really in it for the school and more than just the guys coming in. Don't get me too fired up. I'm already ready for football season, and I'm expecting some wins. Couple. Wins.
I mean, you just look at they almost beat Ole Miss last year.
Yeah.
Oh, what a horrible last play! I'm not saying that plays that one last play when he runs out of bounds is the reason they lost it. Gosh, they nearly won it 2 plays before that with his throw to Tillman. But, I mean, you almost beat Ole Miss. You almost beat Pittsburgh. You just think of those 2 games. I mean, if something went different on one of those 2 plays, you're looking at 8-9 win regular season. How's that, changing the narrative of what we're talking about moving forward? So I'm expecting more wins too. I mean, we'll see about Florida. Tennessee better win at Pittsburgh. Tennessee better win at Florida or against Florida. So we'll see. But regardless, it should be fun, man. And only a couple weeks away. I mean, we'll be at SEC Media Days here in a little bit. And then after that, it's camp time.
What are SEC? Are they going to keep Jimbo and Saban apart?
I hope not.
Well, I know, right? You've got to just tee it up at this point.
You saw the seating chart. I forgot who put it out there. I apologize, but someone put a picture of the seating chart at the spring meetings in Destin, and you had Jimbo on one side sitting right next to the commissioner, and then Saban was one of the first 2 chairs on the opposite side, towards him, to where you have to turn all the way over here to see him. So they getting them out of eye shot of one another. But I would imagine that those 2 guys I don't have the list in front of me. They can't be on the same day, but I wish they were for sure.
Yeah, you should definitely just skid into it. Part of me thinks it was maybe a little bit manufactured. Jimbo probably felt like he had to defend it so much because his assistant coach or whoever that was recruiting today or yesterday was telling everybody that the money was coming in. I thought that was, me and Landon talked about that earlier. That was an interesting follow-up to the Jimbo Saban beef. But yeah, I don't know. The guys went from playing golf together to despising each other pretty quick.
It's wild, though. I mean, have you guys ever seen, there's allegations all the time, right? I mean, maybe not as public as that one, which is why it was so bizarre, but there's always allegations. Have you ever seen a head coach call a press conference to defend himself like that? I mean, goodness gracious.
I kind of like it.
At the same time, I'm like, give me more. I mean, that was awesome, but we just haven't seen that, which is so wild.
For the entertainment factor, but it's also no, that he just wanted to come out and tell everyone how much he hated Nick Saban. So I was like, yeah, kind of that. If that was a Tennessee coach, I would ride with him for it.
For sure. Yeah.
I'm just going to point this out. Texas A&M, Alabama, the week before Tennessee, Alabama. Does that help?
I don't think it hurts, right? I mean, I don't know how
wins again somehow.
Yeah, I don't know how much it would help, but I don't think it hurts. I mean, that'll be a physical game, maybe some fights. That'd be great.
It's going to be emotional. It's going to be emotional.
Yeah,
and that's I think what makes it difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it's always.
I'll still never understand how Alabama lost to Zach Calzada last year. That just still blows my mind.
Yeah, you talk about an awful, and that's the thing with Jimbo too. And I think Jimbo. I don't know how you guys feel. I think Jimbo is the most overrated coach there is. I mean, 100%. Getting paid $8.7 million, go 8-4 every year. You beat Alabama and you go 8-4. Come on. Now, he had his issues at quarterback. I understand that. I mean, your starter got hurt and all that, but Yeah, I mean, just goes to show you though, anybody can beat anybody except Tennessee in those games recently, which is frustrating, but it is what it is.
Well, Jimbo too. He's going to be that guy that just has a good year every 5 years. He's just
Yeah, he'll cycle up.
He's never going to be consistent. So he's not 100 million 10-year deal, whatever it was. He's not that guy. But
Yeah,
he's going to win some games, unfortunately.
Have you been to every stadium?
No. So see, I really haven't been to that many stadiums at all. That's why, since I'm starting to travel and cover the games, I'm really looking forward to that. But one of the first stadiums I've gone to, in the SEC, was in Missouri last year. It's such a crap hole, right? But I mean, I've gone to. I went to Alabama last year. I've been to Kentucky a couple of times to cover those games. I've been to Vanderbilt to cover those games, but really haven't been to too many games. I've gone to Tennessee, growing up, I went to a bunch of Tennessee bowl games and stuff. But yeah, I've not been to the Swamp. I've not been to the Plains. I haven't been to College Station. Man, I wish I went and covered that game back in 2016 or whatever. So I am looking forward so much to going to LSU this year. And I'm so mad that they canceled the BYU game because I wanted to go and cover that game.
Oh, yeah.
I told Landon I told myself I'd go, but at the end of the day, that's a trip. We were talking about it. It's not just a LSU we're doing on a weekend.
Yeah.
Drive it. It's easy. But yeah, it sucks for everybody that would have gotten to go to that. So you said you've been to Alabama, Missouri. I've been to Missouri, Kentucky. You've been to the worst stadiums. I've been.
Oh yeah,
I've been to a lot of those. I've been to South Carolina. South Carolina's awful.
I've driven by South Carolina tons of times. I've just never gone to a game.
It's like a fairgrounds, right?
Yeah,
it is kind of a cool tailgating scene. People get to tailgate legit right up on the stadium and all the way. It is nice for that. They've got.
Have you guys been to Missouri?
No. I really don't have a desire to either.
No,
literally, that's a haul.
Do not waste your time. Do not waste your time. It is. We got there. Let's see. It was it was 11 a.m. local time kickoff last year. Got there maybe 9 local time, 9:30 local time or whatever. And it was cold. It was it was October. It was cold. It was rainy. It was muggy. There was I kid you not, maybe 20,000 people. There was nobody there, and the press box was a piece of crap, and it was this video is going to get around. It was a piece of crap, and it was so cold in there, and you couldn't.
Another journalist complaining about a press box. They don't have smoke or something.
You couldn't see through the window of the press box. It was so annoying. But then,
do not say something about Southwell High School. If you do, we're gonna have problems. No, you can't see out of that press box window.
hey, I'm on the field.
That's true. Yeah, you're on the field.
It don't matter for me. I'm on the field. But yeah, don't waste your money going to Missouri. I would say that. Don't waste your money. The atmosphere is nothing. So
you can't really get to it anyway. It's there's not a great place to fly into. You got to basically drive a whole lot of. Yeah, it's just not ideal.
We got lucky. We took a small plane and took it to a little regional airport, which is really, really nice and convenient. But the charter flights, you got to go to St. Louis, and so that's an hour and a half away or whatever. So it is not, you're right. It's not an easy place to get to.
Yeah. And I definitely ain't driving to Missouri.
This man drives to Arkansas 3 or 4 times a year.
Well, that's for work. I get paid to do that. I'm not spending money to drive to Missouri.
Yeah.
Especially with gas prices now.
It's hard driving to work from here. I'm 5 minutes away from work, and it's insane. It's awful.
What's the stadium you want to go to? Is it it's got to happen?
LSU this year. I've always wanted to go to LSU.
See, I wish it was a night game. I hate that you
I know.
logically made it an afternoon game.
Yeah.
But, you're right, but I really want it to be a night game.
And I want to go to the Swamp. I've never been there, and I think that's a great place to go and watch a game. So I've heard, and hopefully, if it could be a competitive game, that'd be great. So, which it was for a little bit last year, and then it wasn't, which was not great. So I would say LSU, Florida.
Is there a non-SEC that you've been dying to go to?
I'd like to go to a Clemson game right now. I think that'd be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Notre Dame would be kind of neat.
Penn State would be mine.
Penn State would be good.
I want to go to the Big House. I've actually seen a soccer game in the Big House. I haven't
really?
Yeah, I saw Real Madrid and Chelsea play.
Yeah, that is another good one. So yeah, all those premier ones. I'd like to go to the Rose Bowl. That'd be neat.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
want to see USC play in the Rose Bowl, or UCLA, whoever plays in the Rose Bowl. UCLA.
USC,
right?
yeah. Get to see the Trojans and Ohio State kick off at 9 a.m. local time for the Big Ten kickoff.
That's what we were talking about. What what are they going to do? They can't start any earlier. I mean,
it's a mess, man. I mean, it just goes to show you, which I'm here for, again, because this just means the SEC is going to add again, and I mean, if you're the ACC, you're freaking out right now because Clemson, Miami, Florida State. I mean, those teams should just jet, right? I mean, where was Pittsburgh before the ACC? Was that Big Ten?
They were Big
Yeah,
East.
Big East, yeah.
Oh, that's right, Big East.
They
Okay,
were in
so
with West Virginia. They were the ones that beat West Virginia and kept them out of the national championship. Shout out Pat McAfee. I think he missed a field goal in that game.
wow. Wow, I'm a big Pat McAfee guy, but he did hate on my Titans at the draft in 2019, so it is what it is. But I don't know, man. It just goes to show you that, it makes no sense in terms of travel. Football makes sense, but think about this: like basketball games, softball games, baseball games. It's a lot of travel. That's a lot of money. But you're gonna make a lot of money, so it's gonna be tough for these student athletes, especially in those sports, to keep up with schoolwork and stuff like that. But hey, it is what it is. That's why you should never, ever, ever be against name, image, and likeness now, for sure. But as a football fan, I'm pumped about it.
Does the ACC scheduling though? I feel like that's way more ideal, especially than what the SEC. The SEC is gonna have to do something. They can't do what they do now when they add Texas and Oklahoma. I like is it 3 non-rotating and the rest
3-3-5. So you got 3 permanent opponents, and then you will rotate the next couple ones over the court. Like there's 10 other ones, and then you'll play 5 one year. It's an 8-game regular. It's an 8-game conference schedule. You'll play 5 one year and then 5 the next year, but the same 3. So it's SEC. They're doing either the 1-7 or the 3-6. And so I think everybody would be voting for, and that could come out at SEC spring meetings. I thought it was going to come out in Destin at the meetings. It could come out at media days. What I meant to say, determining
you don't have an option now.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to do something, of course, but because they're not coming in. What is it, 25?
Yeah, that's what they're. Yeah, not 23. Because there was rumored it could happen in 23, which I thought is it BYU and who's the other one joining? Is it just BYU? I thought there were 2. But I thought with them joining in 2023, I thought maybe it could be likely, but they said no, 2025, which
it's I'll tell you this too. It's because it's 2023 with Southern Cal and UCLA playing in the Big Ten. Their TV rights, like their grant of rights or whatever with the Pac-12 network, it expires after the 2023 or 2022 season. So that's why they get to go. They don't have to pay this big hefty fine, right? I mean, I think that Oklahoma and Texas are still locked in through 2024. That's probably why they're not coming early. But anyway, the scheduling model, Tennessee or the SEC and Tennessee 1-7 or 3-5, and I think we all want the 3-5, right, or the 3-6, because that gives you 3 same opponents every year. That way you can keep the rivalry with Vanderbilt that's over 100 years, Alabama, maybe Kentucky and/or Georgia or Florida, but you still get to see and play every other team in the SEC once every 2 years. So it's one more conference game of a schedule. It's one less cupcake, and so I think that's what they'll do. Just more money, another conference game.
And I don't think which is going to be interesting. The schools have to vote on it, obviously. It's going to be interesting to see who would rather play the 8 conference game schedule and who would rather rake in the millions of dollars they'll make in an extra SEC TV game.
Well, it's interesting. Ross Dellinger put a report out there with SI back when this was the hot topic a couple of months ago, and kind of saying that the SEC split into 2 tiers in terms of teams that make the most money and teams that make less money. Tennessee's actually kind of right in the middle, if you believe that or not. But the Alabamas, the Auburns, the Alabamas, the Auburns, the Texas A&Ms, the Floridas, the Georgias, they're all in the top tier because they win a lot. The bottom tier is like South Carolina's, Missouri's, Ole Miss's, Kentucky, Vanderbilt's. And one of the intriguing parts was if you're quote unquote in the bottom tier, if you do that 3-6 model, you can play 2 other teams in your permanent 3 from the bottom tier, just 1 team from the top tier. So for Tennessee's case, Tennessee could play Vanderbilt and Kentucky from the bottom tier and Alabama from the top tier. So it'd be interesting. And I think a lot of the teams in the quote unquote bottom tier probably want to go the 8-game conference route, because that means they get 1 more win if they pay somebody, and that's 1 win closer to bowl eligibility. So there's a lot of things in play here that I think we often don't think about, but just from a fan's perspective, it's more money, 1 more conference game. It's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, and then talk about the diehard fans that want to go to all these stadiums and want to play the. We haven't played Auburn at Tennessee in 4 years now, and I mean that's just insane. I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's no excuse to not go and play at Texas A&M. I mean, we're approaching 7 years. I mean, it feels like that game was yesterday, but still, it's been 7 years almost. Yeah, playing at Tech. There's no excuse for that. Playing at Arkansas, like. Sure, Tennessee played at Arkansas in 2020. I remember that. But, like, before that, it was the crazy punt return. Do you remember that? Yeah. Like, I mean, it should never be that long for every student athlete should have the chance to go everywhere in the conference, in my opinion. But also for fans, I mean, that's a long time. So I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and I think that's how, like, rivalries form is, like, you're playing these teams. Like, I mean, you mentioned Tennessee, Arkansas. There's no rivalry, and there's no, like you can't make one when you're playing each other once every 7 years.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's, you can make the case that Tennessee, Missouri is a pretty decent little rivalry right now because of all the battles you're having and like different non-revenue sports. But we had that conversation like whenever it's Missouri week and like it's not it. I mean, Tennessee plays Missouri every single year now, but they just, win hands down. But, what could it be like against Tennessee Ole Miss? Lane won't be there for long. Lane can't stand Oxford. He wants that Oxford so bad. But I think Tennessee Ole Miss would be a nice little rivalry, especially if Lane is there. Tennessee Arkansas, you're exactly right. Tennessee Texas A&M, but and if now again they're going to scrap the divisions likely, but say Texas was in the West right now. I mean Tennessee, Texas, UT, like they need to play more than once every 6-7 years or whatever. So hopefully there will be some type of rotation where you get to see every team once every 2 years. So I think that would be beneficial for everybody.
Yeah, the trophy for the battle for the real UT would be really cool to have. Yeah. That's another thing. Like, we have nothing like that. We have no trophies for these rivalries.
You had one.
You got to bring back the beer barrel.
Now I feel like it's associated with Brad Niedermeyer, so I don't even know if he can bring that back now.
He doesn't get that. Like Butch Jones doesn't get Checker Nealand. The fans that give Butch Checker Nealand are just the biggest dumbasses I've ever met. I don't know how you associated that with that man. It's literally the coolest thing I've ever seen in all of sports. That stadium is gorgeous. You can't give it to him. The beer barrel is beautiful. Peyton Manning has one in his bar, saloon, whatever you want to call it. Steal that one if you have to. Brian might have stolen the old one. Who knows what that dude did?
It was a thing long before Brian Niedermeyer. And that's the thing about Brian Niedermeyer, man. He got the fan base, and that's why it kind of stings. I understand it, like whenever he's tweeting and stuff. Like he got the fan base, like taking that picture, just the wherewithal, be like, hey, everybody will get a kick out of this. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the only trophy I can think of, right? The Big Ten has those trophies like every year. They, you see on ESPN that night, they're hoisting up the boot or whatever, it's just like, oh, that's weird, but kind of cool at the same time. We need more of that.
Yeah, we need the UConn UCF, the civil conflict. UCF won and they left it sitting on the sideline. It was awesome. We need something like that. Something that we don't even care about. It's just a trophy.
Yeah, I was talking about this with a coworker. Tennessee doesn't really have any of those like cheering traditions. You know how South Carolina has Sandstorm, Wisconsin has jump around. Like we don't have anything like cool like that. Like
you got low places in the fourth quarter, man.
Hey, listen, that one's the most Tennessee song they could have played. I mean, it's way better than the end of the third quarter jump around. Way better than that.
Yeah,
that's not a Wisconsin. I don't know how that ends up at Wisconsin.
It's just not great when you're losing by two touchdowns to like Alabama or Florida or somebody in that song. It's like, what are you doing? Like, come on,
The guy working the aux has got to know what's going on.
Yeah.
But I also I do kind of love the all-out commitment to a song. It is kind of nice. I like it better than the guy on the mic that leads the VOLS chant that he's so far behind because the mic's delayed. That
on basketball
and football.
Okay.
Basketball's worse because they do it with the band by section, and it is never synced up, and it never will sync up. It's awful. I don't know who we need to talk to about cutting that, but it needs to stop. The basketball one's way worse.
Yeah. I think Jimmy Delaney would be your guy. You email Jimmy Delaney. Let him know.
There's a lot about basketball that needs to be fixed. It's cringy, a lot of the things that take place in Thompson-Boling Arena It's awful.
I don't cover many basketball games, so like I don't see a lot of that. I mean, to be honest, I usually sit here in the home studio and watch it on the TV right here, and it's a better
Record
setup for
away.
me. Yeah, but I've covered a couple in the last couple of years, and I guess I'm not there enough to kind of pick up on that type of stuff.
It's just like I don't know. The intros are just weird. They're very weird. I'm not a fan of the intros. And I hate this. I don't know how many, I know soccer does it, and I think baseball kind of does something like it. But there's this really awkward where they announce the away team, and then right before they announce the home team, they play a hype video, and it's just everyone, the other team is just watching this video, and nothing's happening. It's very weird. It kills the whole flow of the intros. It's awful. Soccer's even worse because it's just 22 people standing on the field alone, just watching this video on the video board. There's a lot of times you can play that. There's a lot of other times you could play that. That's not the right time.
Yeah, I will say I think and that's something Danny White. I mean, when he was first hired, things he could control right off the bat, like the Neyland renovation, it was already in place, like kind of before he got here, but like you couldn't start it like when he got here. But things he could control was like in-game fan experience type stuff, and with the light show that he kind of did. What were you on the light show? I thought it was really, really cool last year.
It made Checker Neyland, it made the run out of the tee better. Don't operate them during the day. It just looks stupid. I guess they have to cue it up all the same. I have no idea. But no, I thought it was awesome. The video boards on the upper deck were awesome. Like everything about it, I thought was really cool.
And having that other jumbotron and having the Vols letters back, and you can do. I don't know if this is gonna be the case, but like I mean, with where we are now, put LEDs on those letters, sync up the VOLS with that chant, and I mean, there's so much you can do, and that's what a lot of this is nowadays, man. It's like not only you hosting 50 prospects every home game or whatever, but like you're also for the fan experience. I mean, when you pay, I mean, everything's so expensive nowadays. So like when you go somewhere, like obviously you're getting a ball game, but you got to be entertained in other areas. That's why like Wi-Fi coming back, that's huge. And
that's all I need at a game. I just want to check scores. I've got bets in. Just give me Wi-Fi. That's the only time I look at my phone is between TV timeouts, whatever it may be, halftime. That's the only reason I check my phone. I'm not on Twitter. Yep. I'm just on. I won't plug any no free ads. I won't plug any sports books, but I'm on that and ESPN to check scores and stats.
Stay off Twitter on game days for sure.
Sometimes I'll fire off tweets and I'll have to go delete them later that night. I'm like, you can't tweet that. You can't tweet in that moment. You're too emotional.
Yeah, too emotional for sure. Yeah.
Well, Eric, we kind of kept you on for a long time. We appreciate your just hopping on with us and hanging out.
I looked down. It was like 9:20.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to tell you.
I looked down. It was like 9:20. You sent me that text like an hour ago. I'm like, crap, man. We just been shooting the crap. It's been fun though.
Yeah,
for sure. And bad news, you're gonna have to come back on because I had some high school football questions for you. So you'll have to answer those too. I guess we can do that closer to season.
Yeah, dude. Hey, anytime y'all want. Just talking ball. It's a blast. We didn't even get into baseball, so we'll have to come back on soon.
Yeah, but Frank's back. That's all that matters. Frank and Q. He's no longer suspended. He's back. Yeah, Eric, really good seeing you, man. Appreciate you. Also, if you want to plug everything you got going on, feel free.
Yeah. Locked On Vols podcast every single weekday morning, wherever you get your podcasts on YouTube. That show continues to grow on YouTube, and it's just gonna freaking explode during football season. So we're having a good time on there. It's a blast. But obviously check out all the work at VolQuest.com. We're in the heart of recruiting season right now, and could be a busy weekend coming up. So stay dialed in to VolQuest.com. And starting lineup every morning 6 to 9. You'll hear me on there. You'll hear me tomorrow morning. That's why I got to go to bed right now. But all that stuff is all the stuff I got going on every day.
I meant to tweet this at you. Speaking of your morning show, I had it on. Took my grandmother to get her hair washed, and she yelled at me. I don't know who it was speaking, but she said that man's voice just hurts my ears. I meant to tweet it at you. I was like, that was good. So
hopefully it's not me.
I don't think it was you. It was it may have been. I don't know. That was right as I started the car. She gave me no time. And I turned it down, but I meant to tweet it at you that day because it was a very funny comment from my grandmother who has almost no filter now. She called me fat today, so we're just rolling with the punches.
Hey, Hey, not the first time, probably the last time she was talking about me, but hey, appreciate her listening.
Appreciate you, man. Have a good night.
Hey, see you, boys.
See you, Eric.
That was Eric Kane. I don't even know, like I said, I don't know what to call him. He's all over the place. Locked on balls.
Mr. Do he said the starting lineup 6 to 9. I almost said nice. That's a good starting time. We should. I can't talk for 3 hours, but if I could, we'd be going
We've
6
done
to
it
9
for an hour
also.
and a half already tonight. I mean, we're halfway there.
Yeah, we're rolling. Where's Joe at? Is Joe still in here?
Was in here. I didn't know. This is my fault. I'm sorry. I'm the reason that I clicked Eric out. He clicked him in already, and it was all my fault. So not on Joe. That's on me.
All right, guys. Y'all got any stupid things that happened this week?
Full disclosure, I only prepared for the more important issues. I went ahead and named the segment too. More important issues with more important issues.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I only prepared for that one. I believe I've got a couple things. Actually, I've got one. Under Oath. Under Oath is just being tossed around out there. And I think Jimbo and Nick Saban need to both go under oath and give their side of the story, because you had the thing about Trump apparently trying to grab the steering wheel of the presidential motorcade and apparently choked a Secret Service agent, which is just I don't know what to think about a president doing something like that. I don't have an opinion because it's so wild if it did happen. Then you had the Secret Service agents say they were going to go under oath. They would go under oath and say that didn't happen. Then you had, I don't know if you saw this, Freddie Freeman's agent. He fired him over the Atlanta deal. Apparently lied. Doug Gottlieb reported that he lied about the Atlanta deal, and that's why Freddie went to L.A. And Casey Close responded and said he'd go under oath if he needed to.
Under oath, yeah.
Everyone's just going under oath now.
I love it. It just means you're serious, right?
I guess it's just a funny thing because there's a lot of situations. Obviously, the Trump one's very different, but the agent, why does he need to go under oath? Why can't he just say that's not true?
Yeah, under oath.
Under oath.
I have one, and it's Florida. They're just struggling in recruiting, and it's nice that we're just. It was funny to see how they had a guy leave his official visit about an hour and a half, and then commits to Florida State. I thought that's awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Like, hey, thanks for the free weekend. I'm out. By the way, going to Florida State.
I didn't see that. I missed that. So that's incredible. For a lot of reasons.
Roderick Kearney.
How bad does that official have to be? And I know it varies from person to person to not only leave, but then leave and go, yeah, no, I definitely want to go to school at that other place.
Oh, it's just a free vacation is all it is.
But he didn't even stay the whole time. He didn't take the free vacation.
No, he did. He left his official visit after it was over, an hour and a half after it was over, and then commits to Florida State.
I thought you meant he walked in, met the coaches, and was like, "No,
so
I'm out."
See you.
Oh, he said an hour and a half. I thought you meant okay.
Thanks for the plane ride.
Then imagine that. First off, I'm not paying for the flight home if I'm Florida.
Oh no,
under your own way. So smart of him to get home, get on the plane first. Oh, that's awesome. Did not realize that. Joe, do you have any stupidities?
Not a stupidity, but have you guys seen the whole Radio Shack thing?
Yeah, why are they tweeting so much weird stuff?
There's a whole story behind it. Do you remember that scumbag like Ty Lopez or whatever that was like, I'm standing in front of my 2 new Lamborghinis, but I'm more proud of these 6. But he's that kind of guy, like sells you a bunch of schmuck stuff on Snapchat story and everything. But some huge like billionaire Bitcoin guy, and I guess they bought out Radio Shack a while ago, the rights to it or something, and like started this whole thing. So yeah, it's technically not really Radio Shack tweeting it; it's him. But like they're throwing. I mean, it's still a verified Twitter account, and Radio Shack.
Very interesting.
They're going crazy on Twitter. Just like
The Wendy's one was a little disturbing. I won't lie.
Yeah. There are some that's one of them that's up here is I think the only person who serviced more customers than us over the years is Jake Paul's girlfriend, and then an added Jake Paul.
What?
Like stuff like that. I'm just like, wow.
So are they still like selling electronics or no? That's what I was confused about as well.
I don't think so. And I know they have like a Radio Shack coin or something like that.
A Radio Shack coin.
Yeah, there's a coin.
1,000 of them.
Yeah.
It'll be worth millions one day.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, how much are they worth now?
Negative right now, but
I bet they're actually up with this Twitter account. I bet they're actually up.
Landon, coin by coin, brother. Coin by coin.
Under oath. Under oath.
That guy would not go under oath. Radio Shack guy. Actually, maybe he would. Who knows? Are you ready for some of the burning questions? I don't have any GOAT ones this week. Sorry, Joe. I know you want.
It's all right.
Joe got in early on that one. But I'll drop my first one here. If you had to, I've heard this question phrased a bunch of different ways, but if you had to, how many 5-year-olds do you think you could take on before they took you down or whatever? But instead of just
47.
flat out 5-year-olds, like one by one, they come in waves of 15. So how many?
47.
47 waves or 47 5-year-olds?
47 5-year-olds.
That's not a lot.
So you're saying like a wave of 15 comes and then there's a little break and then 15 come again. You're not saying like all at once, right?
I think it's the last once the last kid drops, the next wave's coming.
So you technically are just consistently beating up 5-year-olds, but it's.
Do you have anything with you?
No, I think here's the thing. I don't think the kids have access to that because I think you got to take it naturally in the world. They wouldn't have access to like guns or knives. 5-year-olds shouldn't. So they are also.
Did you grow up in South Knoxville?
Yeah, maybe like the scissors that are rounded at the end, or maybe like pencils. So like they could hurt you, but it would take a lot. But I think at the end of the day, they're normal 5-year-olds. It's like take a standard kindergarten class. There's going to be that one crazy kid in one. The one, little girl who doesn't want to fight you, but you got to take her down if you want to count these numbies. So
I feel like this is a dangerous.
Standard.
This is like a slippery slope. Did y'all see Fred Van Vliet tweet out a picture at a camp where he crosses up like a little girl and posted on Instagram?
I've never once let my nieces or nephews win in any game. They want to play me in basketball. They're not even touching the rim.
But did you post?
I will. I mean, I don't care. I play them in horse. And hey, credit because they do make some wild shots every once in a while. They're getting a little bit older, but they never win.
If it's getting close, you just do a left-handed layup.
Oh, I do something like you got to stand behind the backboard, or something simple that I know I can do, or off the wall backboard in, like something easy that I know it's impossible for them.
Gotcha.
Yeah, for sure.
To answer your question, I'd probably say three waves. That doesn't sound like much, but 45 kids.
See, I'm thinking I can get close to 10 waves. I think I can get close.
See,
they're coming in waves of 15, and like I said, standard 5-year-olds. They're not all hyped up HD or ADH kids. Like they're not all that way. You'll get a few in each wave, but most of them don't want anything to do with you. So you just got one punch for pretty much all of them.
Yeah, I think I could probably fight 100.
Yeah, right. Because I think, at the end of the day, they're not going to like rip you apart. Like they're going to be like all over you, but you can just drop kick them and even just like putting your hand out, like you're going to toss them on the ground.
You could Bruce Lee kick and take out 3 or 4 at a time.
Exactly. You can pick up one and start swinging around, like knocking the other ones out.
These are the things I think about when I go to bed at night, by the way. You guys are getting a first look into my mind. My next one, are there more people in the world that can dunk a basketball on a regulation hoop or hit a home run in an MLB park? I think for the home run, it's just standard BP.
Oh, man. I would probably say dunk.
More people in the world? I think it's hit a home run.
I would say dunk. Well,
because I think you can get – there's a little bit of luck involved, like no matter what. Because so here's the thing. I think there's people who could.
Is it a wooden bat or a metal bat?
Wood bat.
Yeah, maybe wood makes it a lot harder. But
Yeah,
I still think
does.
I think there's a level of you can learn to hit a home run. Like from BP, you can learn. A standard athletic person could learn. There's standard athletic people that have no chance of ever dunking a basketball because it's you got to be able to jump X amount
Yes,
of feet.
exactly. I mean,
Well,
how
I
many
would say most of the people that can't dunk probably can't hit a baseball that far either.
Well, think about a guy that's. I mean, we've played with some athletic basketball with some athletic people that could never dunk, but they could with enough practice they could hit a home run in MLB park.
do they get set? Like, how many tries do they just
I
endless?
think it's just you can do it. You could ever do it if you could
Yeah.
ever work at it and do it.
It's definitely
I
like
think
because
it's baseball.
think about like how many like jacked people there are like that probably can't dunk. Like you don't practice like a vertical. You don't like. There's a lot
And
of people.
even then, there's a limit on that.
But I think it's a height thing. Like most people, like people that are at the height they can probably dunk, but they can't hit a baseball for crap.
Right, but you could teach somebody. Is my point. Enough to hit BP, not to take a.
Oh, so they get to learn how to hit.
I think.
Like I just thought like
over time.
Like,
I'm assuming, saying like
yeah, like they're just going out there.
I still think it would be hit a home run in MLB park. Because think about, I mean, okay, so let's say I said people in the world.
Because you can also train to dunk. Like
you can, but there's guys my size that would never be able to dunk. That you could probably turn into hitting home runs if you went that route. Because there's a limit to how much you can jump at the end of the day. You could technically learn to hit a baseball. Because I mean, in BP, if you just have a decent swing and catch the ball, or not a decent swing, a good swing. And you can teach that. I mean, think about the guys that play golf.
Well, here's the thing. I don't even think I could do that, and I play baseball.
I think you could. I think you could with enough practice. Like again,
with a wooden bat.
I think if we go the practice route.
That's the thing is he's saying that if you get lucky, like you could still hit a home run. No matter how lucky you get, you're not going to like get an extra 4 inches vertical. You're never going to.
Yeah, maybe.
You piece the right
That's
spot.
Tough. That's a tough question.
It's not all luck. I know there's a ton of skill involved, but I think there's much more of a luck element in the baseball than there is the basketball. But even if you didn't go like the practice route, think about all the guys in Major League Baseball, or not even just in Major League Baseball, professional baseball, college baseball that could do it, that could never dunk a basketball, just because you're limited. Like if you walked them out that day, think about that. Like I think it's home runs.
Well, I think the same thing with the like NBA players. They wouldn't be able to go out there.
No. I said without the practice element. If you take away the practice element.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think there's a lot of NBA players that could hit a home run.
Mm-hmm. No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but there's way more baseball players in the world than basketball players. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, think about like even just like the Asian countries and South American countries. You find those guys like.
I think the ratio of the two, like there'd be more baseball players that would be able to dunk than NBA players being able to hit a home run.
I don't know.
That's fair. That's a fair point. I don't think there's that many though. I think
how many MLB players are going to be able to get up to 10 feet and dunk a ball?
I mean, a lot of them are like 6'3" in athletics. So I mean,
maybe. You don't see a lot of off-season baseball players going and
I mean, I'm 5'10" and not very athletic, and I can touch the rim.
I'd like to see you touch rim. I don't think I've ever seen you touch rim.
Yeah, I'm calling cap.
Oh, don't cap me, Joe.
I played basketball with you, Landon. That's a fair cap.
No, it's not. Let me put my Kyrie's on, and I'll go out there and touch the rim.
Kyrie, get out of here. Definition of overrated right now. All right, another sports one. If you played starter minutes in an NBA season, could you score 1 point, or would you have a better chance of, if you're on the 5-yard line, you have 4 downs, could you run a touchdown in?
Basketball all day. Score a point or like
a point. That's all it says. I think basketball.
Easily. Oh, yeah. Dude, you can move around and get quick and get a shot up. I'm sorry, you 20 runs from the 5. I'm no shot.
Well, if you're playing starter minutes too, you've got, if you're in at the end of the game and you're up, or you're up, you're going to be the one that gets fouled. So you're going to get.
What was the other sport?
Free throws.
Football.
Score a touchdown, with 4 downs from the 5-yard line.
How good are your blockers? Like, are you getting like supreme block? Like, that's another factor that like.
But even then, man, you still that hole closes up fast. I don't know if I could ever get to the hole in time.
Yeah.
Honestly, because you also gotta have some balls on you to hit that hole.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm rather taking my chances scoring a point.
Yeah, if I had a pick, I would go ahead with that.
Yeah, I thought that one was pretty easy. I'm not riding with Landon on the. Let's see. Last one. If you fold a pizza, this is going back to our sandwich argument. If you fold over a pizza, does it become a sandwich?
No.
No.
There's not even anything in between it that wasn't already there.
Is a hoagie a sandwich?
Yes.
Isn't that kind of the same thing?
No, because you got to add stuff into a hoagie. Like if you like stuffed a bunch of stuff into the folded pizza.
Aren't you adding like bread? Pizza's bread, and you're just adding toppings to it, and then
but that's like once it's already cooked as a pizza, then folded. If I like pressed out, isn't the oh shit? I don't know.
If you unfold the hoagie and eat it like that, you look like an idiot.
Yeah, and there's also like ingredients that you put into that.
You don't look like an idiot though folding a pizza.
No.
Yeah, exactly. But like I'm saying, you can eat it unfolded.
All right. I can see that one. I'll ask one more, and then we'll close up more important issues with more important issues. Who wins in a fight, a grizzly bear or a silverback gorilla?
Gorilla. There's no shot. I know the. Yeah, but
I'm going grizzly. They're way meaner.
Yeah, I think they're more vicious, but also a gorilla is going to be smarter too.
Gorillas can like straight up throw punches, dude. Like
but a gorilla also. I mean, a gorilla didn't kill the kid. Harambe didn't kill a kid.
Okay, well, I think
he was. No offense. I wouldn't have killed a kid either, Harambe. Like, please don't smite me. No, I just think grizzlies are fierce animals, man. They take no mercy.
Yeah, I would say probably a grizzly. I think a grizzly would probably weigh more than a.
Okay, that was my question. Too. I thought that, but now that I'm kind of thinking a gorilla might weigh more. Silverback gorilla weight. We know what side Joe's on. I'll let you present your full argument. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just thinking it's just. I feel like it's a bigger animal. Maybe
I'm saying I'll let Joe present his argument.
Oh,
why you think? You start. I think you said that. Somebody did.
Yeah.
Just if they're both pissed off. I mean, I know bear, like they're huge and they have like, but I'm picturing like the advantages of a gorilla having like.
Yeah, it's not King Kong.
Opposable arms and hands, and like it's gonna be able to like maneuver.
I mean, I looked it up. There's just 100% no way that this is true. It says they can weigh up to 1,300 pounds.
The bear
can weigh up to 440.
Oh yeah, so a grizzly bear destroys it.
That's insane. 1,300 pounds.
I've never seen a bear that big, so that's why like it seems like like a bear like the size of like a small couch, but
like a black bear would get its ass whooped by a gorilla. They're tiny. I'd fight a black bear.
That'd be a fun fight to see.
I take that back. I'd fight a cub. I'd fight with the equivalent of a 5-year-old black bear. Whatever their equivalent 5-year-old human to whatever age black bear, I'll fight that.
Okay. 5-year-old kid versus like a newborn gorilla. Well, that's not like a young gorilla. Young enough to like fight, but like not really do much.
Oh, gorilla every day of the week. It would snap that kid's head off.
I guess if it wanted to, but
did you see that video of the gorilla with the bear or the dog? There was a dog running around in a gorilla's area, and it was just like cool. It was just cool with it. Nothing to it.
I'm telling you, gorillas, dude, like they're good. They're good people.
I believe it.
Rip Harambe.
I'm a big Harambe guy. 1,300 pounds though. Harambe was getting his ass whooped.
Yeah, he probably would have.
Wait till a 1,300 pound grizzly bear.
Fast, aren't they? For their size, a grizzly bear.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're fast.
I don't know if you're gonna outrun it unless you're like in prime condition.
Let's see.
I have one that I'll leave with you guys if you want to, just because you'll probably change your mind 1,000 times. But the legs versus eyes debate. More legs or eyes in the world?
Eyes. I'm gonna think eyes. Like good eyes or just eyes?
Just eyes. Just eyes and legs.
I think eyes.
Like legs, like on a chair or something?
No, it has to be like anatomically like legs and eyes.
I mean, more animals like they can have 4 legs though, right?
I know.
Oh,
I'm saying for every
okay. I was
animal,
thinking just
4 legs.
humans. Interesting. Okay. All right.
I'll probably get legs.
I'm still seeing a lot of 3-legged dogs.
Yeah, do you count a brown eye?
I mean, think about every animal. Most animals have 4 legs and 2 eyes. A lot of animals, but think of how many fish are in the ocean. No legs, 2 eyes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
This is the wheels. The wheels. What was it? Wheels are doors. Is that what it was?
Yeah, wheels.
Yeah.
Which was wheels, 1,000% wheels.
All right, I think I'm going back to Oz.
I think it has to be eyes. The fish thing, like, really sets it for me.
Yeah, I think there's a lot like sea trumps land.
Yeah, but think about all there's a lot. Like ants have 6 legs each, and there's like billions.
God
of ants.
dang it, Joe!
How many? What's an animal that has like a billion eyes?
Not many. That's what I'm saying.
Spiders, don't spiders have a lot?
Yeah, don't spiders have a lot?
They
They also have a lot of legs. Oh, this is a dumb argument. I'm tired of thinking about this.
World, there's like they
I
got
gotta
100
go play
legs.
Fortnite.
I got a battle royale or a victory royale. No one said anything.
Dude, props.
Solo, dude. I
Nice,
dominated.
dude. Killing it. A bunch of bots in that lobby, I'm guessing.
Boy, don't doubt me.
All right, guys, that's all we got. I'm done thinking about. I'm still thinking about it.
I'm like Oz legs. God bless.
That's all we got. We'll be back. Maybe Sunday. It's a holiday weekend, so we'll see. Play it by ear. We'll keep y'all updated. Thanks for listening. Thanks for Eric Kane for joining us tonight. Awesome job. And we're bringing the boat in.